Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Careers and Coffee. My name is Kaylee and I shall be your host for today's show with my colleague Kieran Buxton behind the scenes. Today we are talking about travel and why this life experience can help you develop both personally and professionally. Alicia has worked in Thailand, Cyprus and Nepal. So let's welcome Alicia.
Hello.
Hi Alicia, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Amazing. Okay, so just to dive straight in and to kick it off, Alicia, can you tell us what your job role is and what your average work day looks like? I mean, I know not every day is the same, but just your average work day.
Yes, so I'm a project manager for music and media projects for Ipswich Community Media. I also work for Future Female Society, and I'm also starting up my own organisation with two other directors, which is called CHIP. And the average day, so the average week, so the project management with Ipswich Community Media. So that can be anything from the designing of a project or the coordination of the project. So I have a team of tutors who are absolutely incredible, by the way. And it's just making sure that the young people that are accessing the projects everyone's in the right place and they know what's going on. Yeah, amongst other little things I do, but yeah, that's mainly it.
That's amazing. What are some of the projects that you do?
Yeah, so the biggest one with Ipswich Community Media is that I do is called Making Waves. So Making Waves works with young people in the youth justice system. And it's basically giving them the opportunity to work with music and just give them some sort of hope. And it's a really incredible project, actually. And the success rates of it are, really something for ICM to be proud of, actually.
That's amazing. And it sounds incredible as well. And I know we're going to be speaking about your travel as well today, but before you went traveling, could you tell us what your job role was and did this shape what you wanted to do when you came back?
So the first time I went traveling, I'd finished high school. So I'd done my GCSEs and then I'd done my A-levels. And then, I don't know, I think a lot of young people feel this pressure of then having to go to university. So I went to university and I think I was about a term in, and the course I chose was not something that I wanted to do, but I knew that I would enjoy it. But a term in, I was like, what am I doing? This is not the one for me. And so I decided to stop, saved as much money as I could, and then went traveling.
That's amazing. I love how honest you were about university then, because you're right, so many, I think, people feel that pressure to do those steps and it may not be right for them. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I know that you've worked in Thailand, Cyprus and Nepal. Could you tell us about the different roles that you had there?
Yeah, so when I saved my money after university, and I did, and something you'll hear me say again and again throughout this is I have said yes to as many opportunities as I could, even down to working on a farm. I was working in picking potatoes because I had one vision to get to Thailand. And so I did anything that came my way to get that money together to get out there. And that's exactly what I did. And I loved working on the potato field, by the way. So I went to Thailand. And when I was in Thailand, I started teaching. And I only went over there to travel, but I loved it so much. And I started teaching. But I soon sort of realized it wasn't completely legal, but I didn't realize at the time. And so I realized if I'm going to do this properly, I need to go home. and get my degree from England and then come back out. And so that's what I did. I went home, and then I couldn't wait. So I just went straight out to Cyprus within about 6 months. And Cyprus, I just got a job in a bar, but then I was very vocal about wanting to work in schools to anyone that would listen to me in Cyprus in the bars. And amazingly, I got offered a job in an international school, which was as an activities coordinator. So working with the international students, helping with their English, but also organising activities around the island. And then I came home, actually did my degree, which was in early childhood studies, because I desperately wanted to be a teacher at that time. And then I went out to Thailand, and I became a proper teacher out there. I worked in a private school, and I worked in a public school as well. And so I did that in those countries. Am I talking too much?
No, please keep going. It's really, really interesting.
Okay. And then, so I absolutely loved it out there. Incredible. The children were unbelievable, so grateful for their education, and it was very beautiful out there. But the people were what made it. But unfortunately, I went to get my teaching license renewed in Kuala Lumpur, and unfortunately had my passport stolen, as well as a lot of my belongings, unfortunately, which does happen when you travel. If I could talk to myself at that time, it's like, well, clearly you've got to be a little bit more careful about where you're putting your things. But anyway, we live and we learn. And because I had actually moved out to Thailand with all of my, all my stuff, I'd said goodbye to my family and friends, like, see you in a couple of years. I think it was only about, I don't know, maybe about 6-8 months, and unless that had happened. So then you can only go home on an emergency passport, so I had to come home.
Right.
So, and that was fine. That was fine. I couldn't afford to get back out there. Fortunately, someone sent all my stuff home for me. And then in Nepal, I was very, very fortunate to. So that was unpaid work. That was volunteering, but it was through a government-funded program, which was leading a sustainable development project. And there I had a team of 10 volunteers. 5 of them were from England, and 5 of them were from Nepal. And it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It completely changed my life. Out of all of the times I've been away, it was the one that changed my life.
Yep. Just all sounds incredible, and I love that you put those little life lessons nuggets in there as well, because that's always good to hear. So how do you feel having this experience working and traveling has helped you to develop both personally and professionally?
I think traveling so young, because this is, and there's been other places where I haven't worked as well. I think traveling so young, it really taught me to understand different cultures, but also understand different people. And it's quite a big thing to say, but globalization can be a really terrible thing, but it can also be quite an amazing thing. And I feel very connected to the countries that I've worked in and volunteered in. I think professionally, I've always been a grafter. I've always worked hard, and I've always grasped the opportunities that I can say yes to. I will absolutely say yes, and I usually think about it later. I think just, and I think you learn a lot about yourself. and all of the things that go wrong, you realize you are so much stronger than you think. You know, you can work this out. I mean, it does help ringing mum and going, Mum, I've lost my passport. But yeah, you know, you are much stronger than you think. I think that's
such a lovely message. And going back to speaking about volunteering, because I know that volunteering is so important to you. Like you said, you've done volunteering abroad, but it can be something that you do obviously in your hometown or abroad. But why do you think volunteering is such a valuable experience for students to take part in?
I think volunteering is really important because life isn't just about money. I know that we need money to survive, but it's giving time. I would suggest, though, when you volunteer, you do something that you have passion for, you know, and that could be to someone, it could be working in the charity shop that, you know, they feel a lot for Sue Ryder or wherever, or it could be gardening, but make sure it's the passion that you have. And don't always wait for those opportunities to come up. Approach places. Ipswich Community Media, I actually started as a volunteer there, and I approached that, you know, I knew the directors there anyway, but I did contact them and say, oh, I'd quite like to come and work on your Saturday club, which I did with their South Street kids. So I used to do that every Saturday when I was working with you at MyGo. And when I went to Nepal and I came home, I didn't have a job to come back to. And when ICM found this out, you know, there was a job sort of that I could slot into perfectly. You know, I was very fortunate, and it's all because of volunteering.
Yeah.
But I think just making sure it's something you're passionate about.
Yeah, that's great. So you can just see the opportunities there by saying yes. And I know that's something that you're really keen on, and that's something you live your life by as well, saying yes to those opportunities and that volunteering opportunity as well. And it led to, you know, a fully paid role also, which is awesome. So a question for you, and I know this is probably going to be really hard just to choose maybe 2 or 3, but what were your biggest highlights when traveling? And yeah, try to maybe just 2 or 3 highlights.
I remember, well, I'll pick one from each one. From Thailand, I would say it was, I remember the moment that I'd got it, because it's you know, I had to do my degree and everything. And it was a lot of years to get to that point, actually, from the first time I went to Thailand and decided that was what I wanted to the moment that I'd actually made it into what I was so passionate. And I remember standing outside one of the classrooms that didn't have any windows or anything and looking at the beautiful scenery and like the kids playing in the playground. And I was like, I can't believe this is my life. So that would be from Thailand. Maybe not a highlight, but something that I always bring up in job interviews actually is in Cyprus, they say, like, have you ever been in job interviews, they say, have you ever been in a situation that was difficult, and how did you get out of it? Mine is taking a busload of kids up a mountain in the Troodos Mountains. And at this time, by the way, I was only like maybe 20, so I was quite young. So I had about 30 kids, and they got out and they had this water fight, but the coach driver then wouldn't let them back on the bus. So we're stuck up a mountain with all these kids. And anyway, I told them all they had their lunch in a plastic bag. I told them all to rip their plastic bags and put them on the seat. And then I was like saying to them, please take us home. And he took us home.
That's great. That's a really nice tip though as well about the interview question. So thanks for putting that in there.
Yeah. And then Nepal, I couldn't possibly pick one bit. It was just incredible. I think the relationship that I had with my volunteers and that I still have with them, and it's 3 years later, we're still in good contact, and before lockdown had met up and stuff. So yeah.
I think it just shows how valuable traveling can be as well, and how much it can really give you both, again, personally, but professionally as well.
Yeah.
So obviously this is Careers and Coffee. So we're speaking about your career, but what skills and qualities do you feel that you gained when traveling that you are able to apply to the career you have now?
I think even the in-betweeny bits of traveling, that absolute working your fingers to the bone in whatever job to get there, that definitely has been, I don't know whether that's got one word, but that's been one thing. And I feel like I've kept that absolute like drive to do what I want to do. Resilience, you definitely learn resilience. And maybe just compassion for our planet, the different cultures in our planet, which has, Ipswich Community Media is very, we're very embedded in our community, and there's many different cultures, and potentially the traveling has maybe sort of help feel a bit more natural in that sphere.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And I like that you brought up resilience as well, because sometimes I think we think we're going to get to a place straight away, and actually it might, you're going to have a few stops along your journey to get there. Yeah. What would be your advice to a student who would like to travel but aren't sure where to start with the planning?
Talk to as many people as you can about traveling. Anyone that's traveled, because you will get so many, I could find someone that had a bad experience in Thailand, a good experience in Thailand, but just keep talking to lots and lots of people, get as much advice as you can. But what I would say also is you have to graft to get there. You can't, well, if you're lucky, you can fall into a lovely, lovely job that you're paid really, really well and then go traveling. But the reality of it is, don't be scared to just graft in whatever to get the money, but keep your eye on what you're trying to do and trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And planning, I would say don't over plan, but then that might be terrible advice.
No, I think that's great, because then you've got more spontaneity to enjoy the different things as well while you're there too, which is great.
Yeah, and just safety, really, really listen to everything your mum says or your parent or guardian says. Honestly, they're right.
I love that. That's great. So what is one thing that you absolutely love about your current work? And again, I know it's going to be hard just to choose one thing, but yeah, what is one thing you absolutely love?
There's a common goal with everyone I work with to help other people, and I feel so lucky to be in that space. Yeah, that's it.
That's amazing. I love that. We just need to bottle that up, Alicia, and just share it around to everyone. That's incredible. Yeah. And so we're coming up to 20 minutes now. So thank you so much for everything you've shared. I've just got one last question for you. So what is one piece of careers wisdom you would give to a student?
Take every opportunity, and don't be afraid. Yeah, don't be afraid.
I love that. Yeah, take up every opportunity. I know that's something that you say. You just say, yes to as many opportunities as possible.
Yeah.
So Yeah, Alicia, thank you so much.
Oh, it's so nice to see your lovely face.
Oh, and yours. It's been so lovely. It's been so interesting to learn about the different projects that you work on and what you're doing now, but to really kind of get that understanding and perspective about what traveling can do as well. So what an incredible experience. But yeah, just thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
So thank you again to Alicia for coming on today, and thank you to everybody who's joined in and watched. And I'd also like to say a big thank you to Kieran for working on the text side today. I hope that you all have a lovely evening, and we look forward to seeing you again on Thursday at 4:30. Thank you.